سوت داور چینی حرکت میکنه جهانبخش میزنه جهانبخش گل برای ایران شاهزاده ایرانی اینجوری شمشیر میزنه مرد سامورایی
پشت مدافع خداداد عزیزی توی دروازه گل برای ایران خداداد عزیزی باز هم روی زمین گشت سردار آزمون و توی دروازه سردار آزمون گل به نام آزمون و برای ایران بزنه کریم انصاری گل توی دروازه کریم انصاری دروازه پرتغال باز شد علی دایی صاحب توپ توی دروازه گل اشتباه حرکت از کوچان نژاد فرصت برای کوچان نژاد توی دروازه گل برای ایران.
ما مطمئن بودیم این بازی رو میبریم تو رختکن چون تیمی که میخواد ببره از تو رختکنش مشخصه چون همه یه دل بودیم. ما واقعا بهتر از ژاپن بودیم. ژاپن موقعیت خاصی نداشت. ما خیلی موقعیت داشتیم که از موقعیتمون استفاده می‌کردیم می‌تونیم به گل‌های بیشتری ببریم. فقط میگم خدا رو شکر که مردمون شاد شدن. یک کوچولو بتونیم مردمون شاد کنیم همون کافی واسه ما.
چی پیش اومد که یه دفعه
ببین نیمه اول ما فکر می‌کنم چند تا موقعیت داشتیم نسبت به ژاپن همون موقعیتی که به گل تبدیل کردن فکر کنم روی اشتباه حالا خودمون و نداشتن تمرکز بود، ولی اون چیزی که مسلم بود ما هم قسم شده بود نیمه دوم همه وجودمون بریم و جبران کنیم و خدا رو شکر می‌کنم که خدا مزد زحمت بچه‌ها رو داد و امیدوارم که این شادی بتونه زمین ساز ان شاءالله یه کار بزرگ.
Welcome back to another episode of Ghalenoei. We've come off the back of a 2-1 victory over Japan. I'm very excited to film this episode with you both, and I guess before we jump in, it'll be amazing to say a quick thank you to all of you guys watching and listening, because our previous episode, the preview of this match, we got unreal comments, views. I think it was like the most viewed video we've ever put out, which is amazing, and also the reaction video that I know you guys loved on Twitter and Instagram of us just being very emotional. So yeah, very excited to film this episode. I guess before we jump in, do you want to say a quick sort of how you were feeling before the game started?
Yeah, this is one of Iran's biggest games in a long time because, like Ghalenoei said before the game, this game could have been the final. So it was a very, very hard game, and for me at least, I was not very confident. So I was very stressed. I was very nervous before the game started. We went into the stadium pretty early. We went like 4 hours before kickoff, I think it was. So as we got closer to kickoff, just the nerves were going higher and higher. And Daniel said this also. He said, "Thank God the game wasn't an evening game, because I don't think we would have survived that long." We were very nervous going into this game.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Erfan. Yeah, it was this game could have been a final. Japan were the clear favorites of this tournament, and we were quite excited and nervous, of course. I was happy that the game was in the afternoon and not in the evening, because the wait would have been too long. But yeah, it was, as we said in predictions, 60-40 for Japan. But I guess it turns out to be a win for Iran, and a well-deserved one.
Yeah, and the emotion was very high both before the game, during the game, and after the game, and it was amazing seeing all the different reactions over Twitter, over Instagram, just people like filming each other with like their different reactions, and yeah, it was beautiful to see. And we'll talk about, I guess, like the players' reactions after the game also, but going into the episode, I guess it was a fairly unusual lineup. I know Taremi wasn't included, obviously the red card against Syria. And Ghalenoei went with a starting 11 that was slightly different, and also a formation that was slightly different. He started Mohebi, Milad Mohammadi and Ebrahimi, benching Ghaidi and Haj Safi, which I don't think he's actually done so far in this tournament. I know a lot. I think even us, to be fair, in the stands, we were saying Mohebi. I don't really understand why he started. Obviously, it paid off for him massively in the end. I guess what was your reaction with that starting 11?
Yeah, I wasn't really happy. Mohebi, I don't mind much because I know he has a quality. Even though a lot of people on Twitter were bashing Ghalenoei for starting him, but Milad worried me a lot because it gave me flashbacks of the USA game. Because he started and things didn't turn out well at all. That was our weakness, and USA used that to win. So I was very doubtful of the lineup. As someone who usually supports Ghalenoei's decision, I was like, what has he done? But yeah, it paid out for him, and it was a really good choice. I think it was the perfect lineup, to be honest, with the players we had available.
Yeah, I think so too. I was going to say, Daniel, before you go on, I think it was the absolute perfect lineup. I mean, I think as well you could say that because he didn't change a single player at all until obviously after the penalty was taken to be 2-1. So that's indicative of him picking the perfect lineup, having the perfect sort of tactical game plan, and it worked.
Yeah, we were all quite surprised regarding the lineup at the beginning. When I first saw it, I quickly thought it's a more defensive lineup. In our predictions, we're predicting Ansari Far to replace Taremi, and Ghalenoei keep the same starting 11 than against Syria. We expected someone like Royedi to start, for example. He's doing a great Asian Cup. So yeah, but he went for Omid Ebrahimi in midfield, Milad Mohammadi as left back, Mohebi as left midfielder. So yeah, when I saw it, I was like, it's a more defensive lineup, but a physical one. Mohammadi has a lot of pace. Mohebi is good with his head, has a lot of pace, and it was quite. Omid Ebrahimi is not a really huge, tall or player, but he's very aggressive. So it was quite an aggressive lineup, and I think that it was quite an understandable choice because Japanese players are very fast, and maybe someone like Harsafi, he's a very good defender, but yeah, against a fast winger, it could have been more difficult for him than for Milad Mohammadi, for example. So, and as you said, it actually paid off. He didn't need to do any substitution, so he just put the perfect lineup that we could have.
Yeah, what was interesting, I think the pivotal sort of part of the field of what he was trying to play with was someone in that number 10 position. And I know he's been sort of within this Asian Cup, and I guess before the Asian Cup, he had that free roaming role, but he still had to come back, he still had to defend, and he did obviously do some defending in this game. I'm not saying he didn't, I think everyone did, from Azmoun all the way down to Beranband. But with Saeid and Omid Ebrahimi as the wall behind him, he had a far more free roaming role. So you saw him in the number 10 position, but you also saw him drifting into the left wing, saw him drifting into the right wing, you saw him running in behind, which he's not actually done, I think, ever. In an Iran shirt, I've never seen him do that. Or indeed a Brentford shirt, to be fair. So yeah, I think that was the pivotal player.
Yeah, I agree with you. We don't see Qudus playing as a free roaming player a lot. It was something a lot of people want to see. Even you wanted to see a few years ago. You mentioned in one of your tweets that Qudus should be a free roaming player, and I think it was a really good performance by him. I mean, he made those even simple passes that look simple, but they just some players need to think to make that pass. But he looks around. He sees the players, analyzes everything so quickly, and then just makes his decision very quick. And I think that's something Team Melli has been lacking for a while now. And Qudus is something that offers that to the table. And then of the pivot, Saeid and Omid, they were able to defend more. So Qudus could focus more on the attacking side. And I think that was crucial to helping our team play offensively and pressure against Japan. Because the Japanese couldn't just attack from the center at all. Like right when they would come, Saeid and Omid, they were like tanks. They would step in their way, and Omid especially, he was giving away some fouls. But what was important was he was getting the balls back for our team, and I think it was a very good performance from all three of them.
And I guess like with this formation as the sort of 4-2-3-1, which he's not played before Ghalenoei in this Asian Cup, and no Taremi, that the Rodos free role that we just talked about. What was the game plan that Ghalenoei was trying to deploy here to sort of nullify and also attack Japan?
Well, I think at first he wanted to have a counter-attacking side during first half. The team was staying deeper, not pressing a lot. Sometimes they did press, but not too much. But then exploiting every moment when the team had the ball to just create an opportunity. They were much more direct than against Syria, shooting in the first opportunity. Against Syria, we saw only a lot of short passes, and we're like, okay, after a moment you need to shoot if you want to score. And there against Japan, we saw Jahanbakhsh trying to his first shot. I think it was at the 10th or 12th minute from outside the box, and Rodos with a volley, and etc. So they tried to be more direct, and actually it paid off.
Yeah, I agree. It was like a very direct, but the pressing wasn't. I think like they had sort of every man behind the ball at any moment whenever the Japanese got the ball in their sort of like in their third, and then sort of trying to overload the midfield, drag them to the sort of wings, and I guess like for the first few, but maybe 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes even, it did seem like a weakness of ours because Ramin Rezaeian, I think he was probably, even though I absolutely love Ramin Rezaeian and what he's done for the national team, I think he was probably one of the weaker players in this game.
Yeah, Ramin had a shaky start. I mean, he lost the ball a few times, overthinking, keeping the ball for too long, which led to him losing the ball a few times. But then after that, I think he got to his senses and he started playing better, giving out the right passes, quicker passes. And about the weaknesses you mentioned, I think that they started putting pressure on us early on. But then after that we put on pressure on them, and I think we kind of found their weakness, and that's why they kept on giving away the ball. And that's something Syria did that Japan were not able to do. Syria were pressuring, they continued the pressure on us, and we were able to lose the ball quickly, and they could counter off that, but Japan were not able to do that properly, and I think that was probably one of the biggest advantages for us this game.
We talked about Mohammadi coming in for Haj Safi, I guess providing that pace on the wing, and we talked about Ebrahimi coming in, but I guess what does Mohebi offer, and what did he offer this game that say someone like Ghaedi or Gholizadeh wouldn't be able to? Because they were the first sort of two choices, I would say.
Well, he offers a great physical presence. He's a player with a lot of pace, and as I said before in our podcast, during last World Cup, we were lacking a player like him, and that's why I also rate someone like Mehrdad Mohammadi. He's not in the squad, of course, but because we were lacking physical presence during the World Cup. We had no players that were really fast, apart from Milad Mohammadi, but he's a defender. But on the attacking side, we had no pace players or a big physical presence. And every contest, head contest, he took them all. Like, he was always winning the headers. He was running a lot, making the Japan defense tired a lot. So, and actually, our left side played much better than our right side. I mean, apart from Jahanbakhsh that did a great game, we didn't see Ramin perform offensively as he did before. Even against Syria, he was good defensively, but not as good as we expect him offensively. But on the other side, Milad and Mohebi were just perfect, and it is quite surprising because no one expected the two of them to start.
Yeah, they're far less experienced than Ramin and Alireza Jahanbakhsh, but they did surprise me as to sort of how well they linked up. And I think Mohebi as well, he made a very dangerous run each time. Sometimes it didn't pay off and the ball didn't reach him, but if you did look at his game, and this is sort of where the first goal came in, I think he also got a header that went wide. He was making that run in between the fullback and the centre back, and exploiting the fact that the Japanese defense wasn't really communicating between that sort of space. And he found like a lot of joy there. That's where obviously the first goal came from, that we'll talk about in a bit. But on our side, we went 1-0 down in, what was it, maybe minute 25, something like that?
30.
Minute 30. It came from Ramin Rezaeian's side. It was a few different mistakes, and then I think a bit of luck as well on the Japanese side of things. And there's a few people to blame here, including I think Beronman also. What went wrong?
Well, during the first half, I remember telling you guys, look at how our defense is stretched by the Japanese winger. Japan has always two wingers staying on both the touch lines, and our fullbacks were staying with them. So there were a lot of space between fullbacks and centre backs, and both centre backs. But the more you get closer to your goal, the more you have to make that space tiny. And we weren't defending as a block. Like sometimes you were seeing the team was cut in two. Sometimes you were seeing Saeid, and on the goal, that's what happened. He was very high on their number 5, the one that scored. I don't remember his name, but yeah, we were very high on him. And then there was a lot of space. So one mistake that leads to the goal, and of course a bit of luck too, because Shoja intercepted, but it comes back to him, and then Kanani doesn't stop him properly, and Berovan has a touch, but fortunately it went through. But yeah, in the first time the team was a bit cut in two, and even offensively, Saman Rodus was really high on the pitch and wasn't touching the ball as much as he used to. But during the second half, they made some changes, and he was coming. He had much more touches. He had the ball a lot, and that was helping us a lot.
Yeah, because this was the first game Ghalenoei played for I think maybe a couple or 3 games. He hadn't been used before, so him coming in, I think the ball came off him, the ricochet, and then going into the feet of the Japanese
Shoja,
play.
I think.
Yeah. Would you still prefer Ghalenoei over Rouzbeh Cheshmi?
Yeah, I still prefer Ghalenoei over Cheshmi, but it's not because he's a much better player, but rather than Cheshmi is not a centre back. He's not a centre back. He's never been a proper centre back, and I don't think that he should play there, especially on a 4 at the back. 3 at the back, okay, he can play as a centre back and maybe shift into a defensive midfielder sometimes. But when we're playing a 4 at the back like what we are right now, I think Ghalenoei, he's played with Shoja for a long time. He's played with him in Persepolis before, at Al Ahly in Qatar, and I think that Ghalenoei, like, he's not the best defender, but I think he still brings something to the table. Unlike Cheshmi, he makes the right passes sometimes. He makes good long balls as well. We've seen him do before for Iran, and like we saw at the end of the game, he goes into the opponent's box, does something cheeky, gets a bit lucky, and wins a penalty. But yeah, I think what he did yesterday, Cheshmi probably cannot do for Iran.
Yeah, he definitely provided something a bit different. After the goal from Japan, the mood certainly changed across the stadium. However, I will say I think probably first half the momentum was fairly strong with the Japanese side. I think we were knocking at the door, but they were. I'd say when we say 60-40, I think that was the 60-40. They were in front, I would say, and then when they scored the goal, the mood in the crowd, I guess, changed a little bit. The mood where we were sitting as well changed. Because I feel like this is where we've highlighted it before, where we haven't had that many times where we've gone behind and come back to equalise and then also win the game. It's a position that we're not very comfortable with, and we've asked a lot of the players when it comes to the mental side of the game, have we improved in that side of the game? I guess the average age of our team playing, I think, was 31 or 30. The average age of the Japanese team was, I think, 25 or 24. So we were far older than them. I think that probably played into our favour here, because I think maybe if this team was maybe 4 years or 5 years younger on average, they wouldn't have had the mental ability to come back the way that they did. So them going into half-time, I think you mentioned, Erfan, what did Ghalenoei say? I think this has been a question we've seen on Twitter a lot, in order to revitalise this team to come out and provide that sort of different and elevated performance.
Yeah, the answer might surprise some people. But yeah, a lot of people asked what Ghalenoei did or said at halftime, and even they asked the players. But what Ghalenoei actually said was something very simple. He told the players to continue what you're doing. This is exactly what he said. One of the players mentioned, I think, and he said that you guys are playing very well. Just follow the plan, continue what you're doing, and we'll win this game. And I think it worked because that gave the players the confidence they needed. It boosted their morale, and it was very good on the emotional side of things because it shows that the coach still believes in the players, and that's a very good thing. And I think that what he did was very good, and it was crucial in giving us the win.
Yeah, the mental ability to go into half-time 1-0 down from a goal that's really annoying to concede. A bounce off a player, and then the goalkeeper should have got there, but it bounced over his foot. There's just so many unlucky and unfortunate things that happened against the favourites of the tournament. We're missing our best player, best goal scorer. I know for a lot of people, they would feel like, there's too many things against us here. There's no way we can come back from this. But the team changed.
Yeah, actually, since Amir Ghalenoei is in charge, the team believes that they can. All the players believes that they can score in every game, and we're scoring 1 to 4 games. Against Syria, we only scored a penalty, but during this game we scored 2, and even during the first half, Iran didn't play badly. We had opportunities, good situations. So the players were confident that they will score. And we were even saying that to ourselves in the stadium, that we will score. The only thing is that will we concede again or will we not? And we didn't, because they attacked a lot during second half. They were aggressive. They were winning all the contests, all the second balls, and the pressing was better. Sometimes the pressing wasn't good because pressing is a collective thing. The whole team has to press, or no one, but you can't just press alone. And sometimes we weren't well organized, but during second half we were. We conceded one really good situation for Japan. It was a cross at around minute 50, 51. Yes, nice header by their number 9, but it went out. But apart from that, and maybe another situation, Iran just was attacking and searching for the score. Actually, Azmoun scored a very nice goal, ruled out for offside. But they were playing. They were fighting till the end. Like mentally, they were prepared for that, and they wouldn't let the game go with regrets.
I don't think the actual tactics or the game plan, and obviously the personnel and the formation didn't change at half-time. I think what did maybe change slightly was they wanted it more. They played more with heart. Even if it was like 10% more, that 10% more pushed them over the edge, because everyone was making the same runs. Everyone was going for the same sort of balls. The roles and responsibilities were the same, in my opinion. The only thing that sort of changed was that extra sort of 10% of desire and belief. And I think you could give a shout out to every player. Ebrahimi in midfield was winning a lot of balls. Ezatolahi was passing very, very well. His range of pass, we know, are very good, but he had those sort of runs in behind to actually hit those passes. So I think it's the desire that really changed going into the second half, and that's when the momentum changed to us.
Definitely, and one of the things that I think contributed in this was the fact that this is probably the last Asian Cup for a lot of these players. So it's like this is all or nothing. Either we're going to be remembered in history, or it's just going to be another generation that's gone to waste. And I think during the halftime, maybe that realization came, and they were attacking a lot towards the end of the first half as well. So they're like, okay, we can do this. It's not a hard game. It's definitely doable. It is a hard game, but it's doable at least. And yeah, that definitely contributed to the factor. And we saw as the second half started how they kept on pressing, they kept on pushing to get the ball, and the hold-up play for the ball was so good. Like they wouldn't give away the ball at all. And every time we gave away the ball, I think it was after one of our attacks finished.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things that we've improved on massively for this game at least. And I was very happy to see that.
Or that we were shooting from distance, as you mentioned, because we weren't doing that in the Syria game at all. Not even shooting from distance, but just shooting at full stop.
Yeah.
I think that but then they won that position. If you look at the stats, actually, I think within the first 20 minutes of the game or 15 minutes of the game, I think the possession stats was 75% Japan, 25% Iran. And then if you shift to the second half, I think it was, I don't know the stats, but
65,
it was like something like that.
At the end, it was 59-41, I think.
Yeah. So that just shows, I guess, the desire. I'm not saying the desire at the beginning wasn't high. It definitely was, but I think it's that extra 10%. And maybe Japan got a slightly comfortable, who knows, or tired. But it definitely opened up opportunity, and then obviously the 1-1, the equalizer came.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it wasn't all about tactics, but the small details paid off in this game. The coach didn't have to change things during the game, because it is fair to say that the game was really well prepared. Like, the lineup was the right one, what he asked from every player were the right things. Only a few small changes at halftime. I think when we were playing long balls, Mohebi was coming next to Azmoun, Samarodous was going on the side, so they were switching, causing some troubles for the defenders, because Mohebi is much better with his head. So they were always trying to be at the right position for the right moment, if it was a long ball, if it's a short ball, and those details helped the team just go for the equalizer. And on the equalizer, it was a time that the pressing was right, so the goalkeeper just throw it to an Iranian players, and behind we played the ball very quickly. So yeah, at high level football, it's only down to details, and I think this was a really high level football from Iran, and yes. It was great to see it.
What I really like about Ghalenoei that I don't think he gets enough credit for is, and this is his type of personality, he sort of just trusts himself and does whatever sort of he wants and doesn't sort of follow whatever the critics say. Because on paper, if you're going into a second half 1-0 down, what's the natural instinct to do? You make changes. And a lot of people in the crowd were saying, bring on Ghaidi, bring on Gholizadeh. Like, we need to make some changes. Because something's going wrong here. Because on paper, we're 1-0 down. Didn't listen to that. He just stuck by his formation, stuck by his game plan, trusted in his players. And I don't think he actually got enough credit for that.
Yeah, you're completely right. And actually, it's great to see how the players trust him too. And they just answer to this trust with playing a beautiful game. Someone like Mohebi, for example, he performed well for Team Melli before the Asian Cup, but during the Asian Cup he wasn't at his best. But right now he just said, okay, I have a chance, and I think he said to himself that he has to just show that he's the player. And same for Azmoun. There's been a lot of criticism against him, but during this game he was just one of the man of the match. So yeah, it was Ghalenoei deserves the credit. Again, I think he prepared the game very well. All the players, mentally and tactically, they knew what they had to do. And in this group, one of our weakness before was the mental side. But for now, they're showing that they're so prepared, so focused to go through the end of this Asian Cup. So yeah, they're just giving everything on the pitch to not let any room for regrets.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, I've said this a lot of times before, but Ghalenoei is a very experienced manager. He's managed many sides domestically. He's managed the national team before, and he trusts himself. He's always done this. He doesn't go for the big names all the time. He plays the players who he thinks would best fit the match, which I don't think a lot of players would do. Like Carlos Queiroz, for example, he would mostly stick with the same type of players, but Ghalenoei, he changes up based on the opponent. And yeah, like Sina said, I think that's something that he doesn't get enough credit for.
And then talking about the goal, so you mentioned Azmoun. Azmoun obviously assisted Mohebi to get the equalizer, and luckily it was onside. Mohebi made a fantastic run. I think it was Jahanbakhsh, I think, beat the player, passed to Azmoun. Azmoun turned, passed it into Mohebi's path, and Mohebi finished on the far post. It was a wonderful finish too, and yeah, got the 1-1, which is fantastic. And then the momentum very firmly shifted to the Iran side.
Wow, that was a true turning point in the game, I think, because after that, everyone believed that, like, we knew we were going to score maybe a goal, but after that, the way we played, I think it just shifted everyone's point of view on the game and on Iran itself. Actually, firstly on the goal, it was an amazing goal. Like from the beginning, the pressure on the goalkeeper for him to cross that ball into Jahanbakhsh, and then amazing 1-2 touches I think he had before passing the ball to Azmoun. Brilliant pass by Azmoun, outside the foot pass I think it was. And then yeah, amazing finish by Mohebi. That's not an easy finish by the way. He only had one spot to shoot, and you know he did exactly what he needed to do. A very professional finish, and yeah, makes me happy for him. You know, a lot of people were criticizing him, but he did really well. And then after that, it was just Iran, to be honest. I don't think Japan had any opportunities at all, any serious ones at least. They tried to bring on Mitoma, Amino, but it didn't make much of a difference. We just continued pressuring them. We played our game, and it was honestly perfect after that.
Yeah, I think a lot of things did play into our favour with I guess the Japanese side that we can talk about in a bit. But the run that Mohebi made was again between the right back, the right back and the centre back, and they just didn't communicate effectively in that high pressure sort of moment where, you know, they didn't communicate between the personnel of he's coming over to you, know, because he came over his shoulder and the centre back had no idea. I think the centre back thought the goalkeeper was going to get it. It's a weird.
Yeah,
if you can watch the video again of the goal, because we can't show it for copyright reasons. It's one that if we conceded, we'd be sort of angry at it, in my opinion. And not gonna lie, it is one that I think Behramban probably would concede because he's not as comfortable coming out as well. But luckily it was with us, and as you said, Erfan, the momentum very firmly shifted towards us. Azmoun scored a goal that was ruled out offside. I think it was just his arm and his upper thigh, and I think that, I mean, it was a wonderful finish. Don't get me wrong. He beat one player, beat another player, then shifted the ball, hit it first, hit it between the near post. It's annoying that he didn't get that goal because it would have given an extra confidence boost. But it was a good goal nonetheless.
It was as you said, a very beautiful goal. Azmoun just did it in a very, very mature way. Like, he was so focused on scoring that goal, and even during the game. So Azmoun is a player that has technical abilities, but sometimes he's a bit clumsy with his run with the balls, in his controlling and etc. But in this game, every touch, every control he was making were good. Like, he was really focused to do a great game, and the whole team was. It was quite impressive to see these teams with some players that we didn't expect in the starting lineup playing that good against Japan, best team in Asia. So yeah, and Azmoun stepped up to the game. Showed everyone that he is a high quality player. He knows what high level football is, and he was actually a perfect striker in this game.
And then I think it got to like the 85th minute mark where, you know, we were sort of pushing and pushing. We were knocking at the door several times. I was convinced we were going to go into extra time, but if you do look at my prediction, I did say that we would draw going into extra time and then we'd win either in extra time or on penalties. That script was there to be written, but Cannony had other ideas. He was obviously brought down in the box. Firstly, was it a penalty?
Oh, no doubt, without a doubt, it was a penalty. I mean, it was very clear. Cannony got the touch on the ball after the miscommunication from the Japanese centre backs, I think it was, and then he just took him out completely. Like, he locked his legs and just there was no doubt about the penalty at all. I don't think anyone even mentioned anything.
Do you think that was like a game plan? Because there's a couple times before that where, you know, there'll be a deep ball in behind and there's no chance of, say, Azmoun or Mohebi or whoever the sort of striker is in that moment to get a chance on goal, but there possibly is there's possibly an opportunity to touch it forward, and the goalkeeper obviously takes your leg, because there was one before that thing with Azmoun, and I think there was one before with maybe Jahanbakhsh, I can't remember, but it did happen a couple times. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, it did happen 2 or 3 times before that as well. I think I remember Azmoun's. He had twice in the second half. The first one, I don't think it was. I think it was just the goalie got the touch first and then he fell over. But there was one where he barely got a touch on the ball. Yeah, he barely got a touch on the ball.
It was minimal.
Yeah,
it was enough,
minimal,
but it was minimal.
But the goalkeeper didn't get any touch on the ball. He just took out his leg. And that didn't go to VAR, which was a bit strange for me. Because, I mean, it would be very sensitive, harsh penalty to give away. But, he did get a touch on the ball and the goalie got it. But, it is what it is.
It wasn't enough for me, though.
It would be very harsh, like I said.
I think we talked about it in the moment. Like, it was one of those ones where if it happened to us and we conceded a penalty because of that, we would have been extremely disappointed because it seemed very harsh. But, like, this one against Ghalenoei, I think it was a stone cold penalty, and it was an unfortunate one. I think actually, strangely enough, I think Ghalenoei made that sort of run from like I think the left back towards so they were sort of making these sort of crisscross runs. The goalkeeper took him out. The goalkeeper, I have to say, the Japanese goalkeeper has been fairly shaky this entire tournament though, and that came to sort of bite them because they gave away a 93rd minute penalty where it was sort of very it was going to go to extra time. And then, what was your sort of emotion, Daniel, when the penalty was awarded? And I guess, did you have confidence that we would put this away?
Well, with how we prepared the penalty shootout and how the players were shooting the penalties against Syria, I was pretty confident. Not as confident as some people already celebrating, and even some players celebrating the end of the game, but. I was confident. It was a clear penalty, no doubt about it, and it's a bit unfortunate for their number 4, the centre back playing with Tomiyasu. He's at fault for the first goal, and now he's at fault for the penalty. But it happens in football. That I think shows the level of concentration that our player had and Japanese player had not, and I was pretty confident. As the captain and one of the leaders of the team and doing a great game, he just stepped up and said, I will take it. And actually he took it very, very well, very powerful, very precise. Like during the penalty shootout, so our players prepare well for the penalties. So it's good because in tournament it's important to prepare for every scenario. For example, Didier Deschamps with France didn't prepare for penalties and he didn't pay it off during the World Cup final and they lost against Argentina. That was well prepared for penalties. So it was a very good penalty taken.
Yeah, but you mentioned it before, but someone was holding on to the ball until sort of the very sort of last minute until Jahanbakhsh took it off him and took the penalty. But I know some people on Twitter are saying someone wants to take it, and there's a bit of maybe dividing the team and sort of sparking up some rumours here and there. What's your sort of opinion on that? Did he want to take it, or was it, as Daniel mentioned, maybe trying to confuse the goalkeeper?
I think it was he was just trying to not confuse, but he wanted to attract the attention towards himself. So Jahanbakhsh can just be calm, be ready for the penalty. Like Daniel said, it's what a lot of players do nowadays. It's a tactic that a lot of players use, and I don't think there's any division in the team. I mean, when you look at the players, they're it began Jamishun Jame in Farsi. We say it's a very likable group, and they seem to be very confident. They seem to be good together and everything. So I doubt there's anything like that in the team. I think it was just a tactic to attract all the distractions towards himself.
Yeah, and he converted the penalty very, very well. Even the goalkeeper went to the correct side, but the shot was so powerful, so accurately placed, there was absolutely no chance for the goalkeeper. And to be able to convert that this is why I want to give a special shout out to Alireza Jahanbakhsh, because he comes in as the captain for this game, he comes in the not the best moment of form in his entire career. He's obviously a bit older now, but he came from, I said, top goal scorer in the Eredivisie, going to Brighton. He's never found his form for both club and country since then, and we've been sort of critical of him on this podcast just because we know his ability and how good he is, that his consistency isn't there. And for him to be the leader in this game, to drive the team forward and actually be the captain, and in a game where we're not the favourites, we're against the favourites the whole tournament, and where your key player Mehdi Taremi is missing, for him to have all that sort of pressure on his shoulders and converts penalty in the 96th minute, I think that's so admirable, and that's what I absolutely loved about this game, and I loved about his mental mindset, and that's what gives me a ton of confidence going into the next game. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Alireza Jahanbakhsh because I thought that was wonderful.
Sure.
Anything to add?
Well, as you mentioned, we're sometimes a bit critical on him because he's a talented player. He's been inconsistent for Team Melli, it's fair to say it. And sometimes he's been really good, sometimes we just don't recognize him. But when he's at his best, he's a very clever player, very intelligent, technically. And what I really rate about him is that he's always a threat for defenders. He can shoot anytime with both foot, outside the box, inside the box. He's actually a quite good attacking player. It's just that sometimes in football you need a player to have one characteristic that is really above other players, and for Jahanbakhsh it's more difficult to find one than, for example, Mohebi is really fast, or Sardar Azmoun is really very good with his head. But like for Jahanbakhsh, it's a bit difficult sometimes to find that characteristic that is really above the other one. But you need to have complete players too, and he's actually a complete player.
And a real leader now. And I think because I remember him when he was coming onto the scene as a teenager, and he's really matured into a great player, a great personality, and a great leader. If you look at his team talk before the game started, it was an amazing team talk. Even though I'm not a player, it was hyping me up. It was amazing to see. If you can, search it on Twitter. It's a wonderful video.
Yeah, we saw that a while ago, and wow, it's really made me emotional as well. It felt like I was one of the players, and it's nice to see him step up and do that, because usually it's a guy like Karim who would do that, or Ehsan if he's the captain, and they might not be as influential as what Alireza said today. And Alireza, he's a big game player, I would say. He shows up when you least expect it, when you need him a lot. He showed up for Brighton against Chelsea last year when Feyenoord won the league. He scored against some of their main competitors like AZ Alkmaar and PSV. So I'm not really shocked that he turned up for this game. But yeah, like you guys said, he's a bit inconsistent, and if he improves on that, I think he's still a really good addition to the team.
I want to talk about quickly standout players before we move on to, I guess, going forward for the Qatar game. So in a game where, again, we weren't favourites at all, Japan were the favourites to win the entire tournament, Mehdi Taremi was missing, a lot of people thought it was going to be fairly challenging, and I think I said on the previous podcast how Osman needs to be a lot of the players need to step up, given that Mehdi Taremi is not going to be there. But Osman, I think, was the one player I really wanted a big performance from. I guess a performance that we know he's capable of because he's shown it in previous years, but we haven't seen him do that since, I guess, that sort of big injury that he had. And I think this game, he did have that performance, which was absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah, he was amazing in this game. Either is in the airs or on the ground, or with long passes, long balls. He was always really focused, having good touches on the ball, and the goal he scored was again so mature, and it was really unfortunate that it was ruled out for offside. But apart from that, he had a good header that just went centimeters away from the goal, and yeah, he did a very, very good game. We will need him to continue on this form, on this strike, for the next game, of course. But having Azmoun playing like that, it's a really high level football, and it's necessary to. We're lucky to have a striker like him in our team. Many national teams like good strikers, especially when they play like that.
Yeah, I think Mohebi won man of the match, right? But like, who else from your side, Erfan, did you think really stood out this game?
I think Mohebi was definitely really good. He was a really good addition to the team. He obviously got the goal. But my man of the match would probably be Saeid Ezatolahi, I would say.
Yeah, we haven't shouted him out too much
we
this
didn't talk
podcast.
much about him today, but he didn't have any mistakes, I think. It was completely the perfect player yesterday. And he just, the passes he was making, the way he didn't let Japan get through the center at all. And I think controlling that area of the field was very important for us to win the game, and Saeid just did that amazingly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think another one from my side is Ghalenoei that we've already talked about. But yeah, I thought he was absolutely amazing this game, especially because he's played, I think, all of the minutes. No, I think we were saying with Ezatolahi.
I think Shuja was injured for the second game, wasn't he?
Okay, but I mean, he's played a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he's played a lot.
And like after I think the Syria game, towards the end, he was like, I think, in agony because he just ran so much and defended so much. What was Japan's pitfall in this game? I still believe that this Japan team wasn't at their absolute best, which obviously played into our favour massively. This is a fairly young team. I think they missed a lot of experience in the defence. Maya Yoshida's no longer in the Japanese squad. And the goalkeeper maybe new as well from their previous World Cup appearance. But this is a team that beat Germany in the World Cup. They beat Spain in the World Cup.
Germany again after the World Cup in
September.
Yeah. So this is a very good Japan team. But what went wrong for them in this game? I'll go to you, Daniel.
Well, during the first time they had the first half, they had a good half. They were playing well, a lot of movements, good passing. They're technically really good. They don't do bad passing or bad controls and etc. And they easily use our mistake to score a goal. So they were about to score a goal at the beginning of the second half too, minute 51 with the header. But apart from that, I think they didn't overcome the aggressivity Iran was showing. All the players were winning the contest, the headers, the second balls during second half, and they were just like a bit. I don't know, but they were like they didn't know how to overcome this, to step up and reverse it like we did. Like Iran really changed the way the game was going. But Japan couldn't change it, and even when you consider goal at minute 57, it's only 1-1. But they weren't as confident as we were, and it was actually surprising because if they made some changes. Mitoma came on. We know how good Mitoma is. He's a Premier League level player. Actually, he can dribble 2 or 3 players easily, but we didn't even see him perform. Like he didn't have any dangerous situation and etc. So yeah, it was. I think they just were overbeaten on this game.
Anything you want to add, Erfan?
Yeah, you mentioned about Mitoma. He's a very good player. We've seen what he can do for Brighton, also for Japan. He came on just for a bit against Bahrain. We were at that game and we saw how dangerous he looked. But yeah, he couldn't do much against us. Jahanbakhsh, I think he tackled him right when he got the ball. That was one of the best moments of the game.
Yeah, that was.
Everyone got excited.
That's that extra 10%.
Jahanbakhsh, the mentality, the captain. As a captain, when you do that, the fans were excited, the players were excited, and that was very crucial.
Perfect tackle.
And actually, the Jahanbakhsh did it on this situation, and it was a clear situation because it was a good counter attack for Japan. But even during the game, the whole players were helping each other. Even on left side, for example, Mohammad and Mohebi, they were defending with their whole life together against a Japanese player. actually Japan was doing the same, but only for a few players. For example, when someone Rodus had the ball, he had 2 or 3 players around. When Jahanbakhsh had the ball, he had 2 players around. But they weren't doing it for all situations. But Iran, they just players were so hungry, like they wouldn't let anything to go through, and yeah, it was very beautiful spirit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the game ended 2-1. I think Ghalenoei made some substitutes in the last sort of minutes just to waste time. That's like normal manager, I guess, activity. Every sort of manager does that when they're ahead in the last sort of dying minutes. Cheshmi did come on. I don't think he touched the ball, but like a few people did come on. The final whistle went. The final whistle went. Everyone, rounds the pitch. People were exhilarated. You saw our reaction on Twitter and Instagram. We were very, very emotional, and the players, I guess, one by one, I think, dedicated the victory to the people of Iran having daily struggles, which was an amazing thing to see. I absolutely loved that gesture. I think Alireza Jahanbakhsh as well did a fairly long interview, but individually, Karim Ansari, I think Jahanbakhsh, Ezatolahi possibly. Even Porali Ganji, I think, did as well, even though he wasn't playing in the game. So I think that shows both their togetherness as well as their dedication to both their team as well as their country, which it's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah, and Ramin's interview was amazing. He was very professional. It was nice for him to do that, and like Ghalenoei always said, this team is playing for the people. And I think the players proved that yesterday with the way they fought. And after the game, the interviews, they said the first thing I've noticed that people say is that the players say after every win is that we dedicate this win to the people, and that's a very beautiful thing for them to say. And after full time, one of my friends in Tehran messaged me. They said that everyone is on the streets and everyone is celebrating, and it was similar to what happened against Australia like 25, 26 years ago. So yeah, this just shows that I don't want to get too controversial, but this team, the people, I think that the people, whatever they say, at the end, they're playing for the national team, they're playing for the pride of our country, and this game just showed it perfectly.
You want anything to add?
Well, I think
Erfan said it very well.
Yeah, you said it very well. They're all dedicated to make Iranian people happy, and they're again so focused. Like you can see them in mixed zone and during training sessions. They're just here to do the job.
And I guess that when we talk about that sort of extra 10% desire and belief, I think some of that definitely comes from people going through hardship in Iran and fighting for them, as you mentioned. Now, looking forward now that we've knocked Japan out of the Asian Cup, which feels such a weird thing to say, but now that Qatar is the next team on our schedule, we saw Qatar beat Uzbekistan on penalties. It was possibly the worst penalty shootout I've seen for a long time. just quick shout out to all all the penalty takers. Now, what should we expect from this Qatar team? We watched them play as well. Like, good to not forget, they are the reigning champions of this tournament. They are at home, so there are a few things. They've got some pretty decent players as well. They played pretty in this tournament. Now, what should we expect from this team?
Now, Qatar are one of only 3 or 4 teams that have only domestic players, so they have no one playing outside of Qatar, and I think that is to their advantage because all their players are they know each other very well. This group of players actually they've been playing together for a long time. That was the whole Aspar Academy project that started a long time ago. Al-Muez Ali, Akram Afif, and all these players. They've been playing together from a very young age, and I think that was one of their key things to winning the last Asian Cup. And this is their second Asian Cup together now. There's some older players like Hassan Al-Haydous. I think this is his last Asian Cup probably. He's like 32 years old, but there is quality in that side. I don't know if I don't think it's close to Iran at all, the quality they have. But like you said, they are the reigning champions. They are the hosts. They have that advantage. We might see some controversial decisions going in favor of them. But you know, Iran, I think if we play our game, we played against them a while back ago actually, and that was the game Pouel Ganji got injured, I think. Yeah, that was the game he got injured in that friendly tournament in Jordan. Yeah, we beat them 4-0, and hopefully we see the same type of performance. I don't know if we will, but yeah.
And Daniel, this is an interesting question because Taremi's back, Ghaedi's been rested, Gholizadeh's been rested. What's the team now? Because we played emphatically against Japan. Now I have seen a few posts on Twitter. I'm not going to name and shame people, but some people have said, you know, why change the team? Even though Taremi's back, we played amazingly. Like, should we just carry on like this and maybe use Taremi as maybe a rotation? Now it's not a. I guess it's not a stupid point given how well we played. Now, what do we do in this situation?
Well, let's not forget that the game against Japan was very well prepared, and Ghalenoei picked the player that he believed were the best ones against Japan. Against Qatar, it's another opponent. Other players, they're not, of course, the quality is not at Japan level, but even apart from the quality, it's a different team. So they play differently, and not playing Taremi would be a really a big mistake. He's our best players. As I said before, even he's at 50% of his form, he's still Taremi. So the defenders, the team is not defending the same way when they see Taremi than they see another player. So of course, Taremi will play. I have no doubt about it. It's very good that someone like Ghaedi or Ehsan Hajsafi or Mehdi Taremi or Ali Gholizadeh, they were rested for this game, so they were fresh. That is a very, very good point for us. And I believe that some of the players are untouchable. For example, someone like Saman Roudous, he's every game we have a man of the match, but I think Saman Roudous, for the team, the current team and current tactics, he's above that. I mean, you can't remove Taremi, even if he's our best player, but you can't remove Saman Roudous. He's bringing so much as a team. Either he plays as a 10 or as a central midfielder. He's just a really complete player. His fitness seems really perfect nowadays with Brentford. He's feeling very well since this summer. He's like, I don't know what happened, but it's like he got some maturity and some positiveness, and he's like relieved. Like he's so calm and he knows what he has to do. He believes in his qualities, and with the ball, without the ball, he's always doing the right decisions. So, yeah, going to the Japan game with Taremi and without Roudous, for example, would have been much harder for us.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention what you said, you know. Just thinking that we won against Japan without Gholizadeh, Ghaedi, Taremi, and who else was it? Hajsafi, you know, four of our probably our best or top players, at least in this tournament. It just shows how well prepared this game was, how well managed we were, and yeah, again, props to Ghalenoei for that.
So let's talk about that. So who starts and who plays against Qatar? And I guess what's the rotation? Does it go back to, I guess, like the game against Syria, the group stage formation and lineup? Does Mohammad Mohebi leave the starting 11, even though he had a pretty decent game against Japan? Who's playing?
Well, Qatar, I see them as a similar game to the UAE. I think that Taremi should definitely start. He should get back in, and Hajsafi as well. I think as well of a game as Mohammad Mohebi had, Hajsafi is just more made out for a game like Qatar. And then, so yeah, I think Omid Ebrahimi, even though he was fantastic in midfield, I think maybe it's a bit too much for him, you know, give him some rest. Maybe bring him on later, but I don't think he should start against Qatar. I think we should return with the Ezatolahi Qudus kind of pivot in midfield.
Yeah, no, I agree. But what about
Gholizadeh?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The wingers.
I would keep Jahanbakhsh. In for this game, and I think that Ghaedi should start over Mohebi as well. And I would, you know, obviously Taremi as a kind of 10. and Azmoun up front.
Yes. Yeah. Let's not forget that Qatar is playing with 3 defenders, so it's good to have 2 strikers and Salman Ghoddos was a real 10 in this game. He had really a free role and etc. When Taremi is playing, he's coming deep, but he's not a 10. He's more like a false line. He's a striker. His best position is being a striker.
Sort of Harry Kane.
Yeah,
role.
and he can play as a false 9 with Azmoun, and sometimes it's Azmoun that is coming deeper, but most of the time it's still Taremi. But he's not a 10. And having them both as strikers, putting pressure on and they're 2 very good world-class strikers, putting pressure on the three center backs of Qatar would be great to have that physical presence. I think Rohidi will be back as left midfielder, even though Mohebi was great. On the right side, I think Jahanbakhsh will be kept. He's one of the leaders of the team. Of course, Alireza brings something different with his weak right foot and left foot, so he's left-footed, so he's always cutting inside, and he's a technically gifted player, so very interesting. But it could be him starting, but I don't think Ghalenoei will. And as you said, yeah, Sardar Azmoun will be back as a left back for sure.
Okay, cool. So I guess maybe we should do predictions now. And it feels a bit strange, but yeah, this is a semi-final game. The other side of the semi-final is South Korea and Jordan. Jordan played very well in the game that we saw against Tajikistan. I know I'm going to be controversial saying this, but I can really see Jordan knocking South Korea out of this tournament. In which case, if Iran get through, it'll be a Iran-Jordan final. But either way, I believe in this team so much. From how they've developed as a group, their togetherness, their shared drive, their shared sort of belief, and they've proven a lot of skeptics wrong, including that goes all the way from Behramand all the way to the strikers, all the way to Ghalenoei as well. I do want to quickly say though, I feel like Ghalenoei obviously gets a ton of credit for this game, but what I will say that again may be controversial is that he did inherit a fairly good foundational side from I think Carlos Queiroz that built this side, even though, you know, after the previous World Cup he did get a lot of backlash. But as Jose Mourinho this is football heritage, and he did inherit a side that had that level of maturity, that a lot of them were playing in Europe already. And I think that's why you've seen them progress and beat a team like Japan getting into the semi-final of a major tournament. But the way that we've sort of overcome that mental challenge that we talked about before, I guess think about it. Can we play together now? Yes. Do we have squad depth? These are all questions that people have posed. We do have squad depth now than we did before. Can we hold a game with 10 men? Yes. Can we do a penalty shootout and win the penalty shootout? Yes, emphatically. Are we defensively sound? Possibly. It's definitely our weakness, but it's more than it used to be. So all these things have come at an amazing time that I think we can really push and actually win this tournament. So I'm really, really believing in this, and I see a massive amount of belief for this squad. So I guess, predictions for the game. What do you think about the game, Iran-Qatar? What's the game actually, Erfan?
It's on Wednesday, on the 7th, I think.
Yeah, so what's your prediction for the game?
Well, last time
you were wrong. We do have to shout because this went under the carpet. Erfan predicted that we'd lose this game. I think 2-1, right?
2-1,
yeah. So carry on with your prediction, then we'll just disregard it.
You know, well, I don't know what to predict now because I'm scared it might turn out wrong. But I'll be positive this time. I think we'll get an early goal, and then we might get a second later on. I'd say a 2-0 win for Iran, hopefully.
2-0, okay.
I see a 3-1. I'm afraid of Qatar I'm a bit afraid of Qatar in a way that they're playing at home. They will have a lot of fans. We have fans during the Japan versus Iran game, but not as much as, for example, Korean fans came for Korea versus Australia. But Qatar, there will be many people in the stadium, and the stadium will be. It's a big one. It's Al Thumama.
Stadium.
Yeah, so 44,000-45,000 seats, and they will have the most of the fans behind them. They're playing at home, and Qatar wants to erase what happened during the World Cup. They had the worst World Cup a host team can have, and they played really, really badly. And I think they want to erase history on that and just write a new page and show everyone that they're a good team. And actually, it was quite surprising from a team that won the Asian Cup playing that bad during the World Cup. So they want to prove that they're a good team, and they have a revenge against us. We won 4-0 when they were trained by the Carlos Queiroz. So yeah, but I still believe that we're a better side, and if we manage to still be 100% focused, I see a 3-1 for Iran.
3-1.
Yeah.
Good prediction. I think as well, like Al Tamar, fun fact, that was where Iran lost against USA, right? Same tournament, same.
I mean, you were.
I think it was that stadium.
It's the one.
Yeah. But we played there before this tournament as well, no?
Yeah, we went there for Japan versus Bahrain.
No, we didn't.
Okay, so Iran's not played there yet. So I guess that's another thing that we need to, maybe a mental thing for the players. I doubt it, but it's one of those small details. But from my prediction, I do see Qatar scoring in this game. So I actually think it will be 3-1. I think Iran will score first, Qatar will level, and then second half it will go 2 and then 3.
They have interesting attacking players, really fast on the ball.
FIFA is very dangerous.
Yeah, they have dangerous players and some experienced one. Al-Moezaali, for example.
Jesus.
Yeah. They have good players. So, and we are in a much more attacking philosophy. So our defense is a bit more exposed. So I wouldn't be surprised if we concede a goal, but I think we'll score more goals than them. Yeah,
the beauty of this team as well is that before, if we did concede a goal, it was like, oh, it's game over now, it's finished. Whereas with this team, even if we go 2 goals, I'm not saying go 2 goals down, but if we do go two goals down in the first half, I still believe that this team can turn it around, which I didn't have that belief before. So yeah, that's the thing. I do feel like Qatar will score in this in this game. Okay, cool. I think that's everything. Anything else you guys want to mention before I wrap up?
No, just we've had a really fun time here in Qatar so far. It's been amazing, the facilities, the shuttles, everything provided to us by the AFC have been very good. So I just want to mention that, and hopefully we end it off with a blast.
And let's mention too that I had to extend my flight.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. So yeah, Daniel had to extend his flight because he was meant to leave today, right?
This morning.
Because he didn't believe like me and Erfan did. So yeah, he was meant to leave. He extended his flight, extended his hotel. So we're still here, and you'll still see our reactions, and we'll have a podcast after the Qatar game as well. We'll have a space after the game that probably Ariel or someone in the team will do. I want to quickly thank you guys watching Golbazan and supporting us, because the comments on the last video were absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for that. And it gives us a lot of sort of motivation as a team to carry on creating this sort of content for you guys. So thank you so much. And also some of you left donations, which is incredibly kind of you. So yeah, I can't really thank you guys enough. But yeah, that's it for this podcast. We'll see you guys in the next one, which will be after the Qatar game. And hopefully we're previewing the Jordan or South Korea game in the final. So thank you so much. We've also done a few player interviews, so definitely check them out. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Saeid Ezatolahi and you're listening to the Golbazan podcast.